Then there was another rumor that she was not only pregnant, but potentially pregnant by a young baller, basketball player.
A young baller.
That was the quote that was in the news. It said a young baller. I'm assuming they meant basketball player.
The rumor mill was already running hot, but few could have predicted the storm that would follow. Whispers of Vanessa Bryant's alleged pregnancy had been quietly circling the depths of social media, small ripples on fan pages, anonymous Reddit threads, and scattered Instagram comments. Yet, it wasn't until a single photograph emerged that the tide shifted. Captured at an intimate Malibu brunch, Vanessa appeared radiant in a flowing summer dress, her laughter unguarded, her hand brushing across a subtle curve in her midst, detail absent in recent public appearances. That fleeting image ignited a firestorm. The chatter evolved into headlines. Vanessa Bryant sparks pregnancy rumors after public appearance. Gossip sites speculated about a young NBA player in her orbit, while the harshest critics dragged Kobe Bryant's memory into the fray, declaring he would be turning in his grave. The commentary turned vicious. Strangers, with no claim to her life or grief, hurled accusations and insults as though her body, her healing, and her private choices were public property. And yet, the most cutting blow did not come from anonymous voices online. It came from someone who had once stood firmly in her corner. Enter Shaquille O'Neal, not just a towering figure in the NBA, but a cultural icon and, most importantly, a man who had called Kobe Bryant his brother. Years earlier, at Kobe's funeral, Shaq had vowed to watch over his friend's daughters as if they were his own. That bond, that solemn promise, made what came next all the more staggering. In a move that blindsided both fans and followers, Shaq went live on Instagram not to share memories, not to uplift, but to confront Vanessa Bryant directly about the swirling pregnancy rumors. This was no private conversation. It was a public reckoning, unfolding in real time before thousands tuned in, with millions more catching the clips afterward. And the subject? Not her philanthropy, not her resilience, her womb. What might have been an easily dismissed rumor had now been catapulted into the global spotlight, not by tabloid headlines, but by one of the very people who had once promised to protect her. And in that unscripted, electrifying moment, the internet didn't just react, it erupted.
I'll be sure to teach Natalia, Bianca, and Baby Capri all your moves, and I promise I will not teach them my free throw technique.
Shaquille O'Neal was never just another former teammate of Kobe Bryant. He was a man who had stood before the world, not simply to share memories, but to make a promise to safeguard Kobe's family as if it were his own. That vow carried weight. So when whispers about Vanessa Bryant's alleged pregnancy began seeping from the shadowy corners of the internet, many assumed Shaq would step forward as her shield, silencing the cruelty before it took root. But that wasn't what happened. When the familiar red live badge appeared on Shaq's Instagram, fans flooded the comments with one burning question. Was Vanessa Bryant pregnant by a much younger NBA player? He didn't sidestep, he didn't change the subject. Instead, he met it head. And in doing so, he revealed a deeply personal standard. If the rumor were true, he would be deeply disappointed. To Shaq, Kobe's legacy was never confined to the court. It was about principles, respect, and an image that deserved to endure untarnished. The idea of Kobe's widow romantically linked to a young player, let alone carrying his child, was, in his view, a potential stain on that legacy. To him, this wasn't idle gossip. It was a matter of loyalty. But to Vanessa, insiders say it felt like something far worse, a public betrayal wrapped in judgment. Privately, she was said to be furious that Shaq had breathed life into the rumor at all, much less before thousands of viewers. She saw it as yet another example of men policing her healing while being conspicuously absent during her darkest battles. Where, she asked, were these protectors when she sat through the painful court hearings over crash site photos leaked by sheriffs? Where were they when Nike released Gigi's shoes without her consent? Where were they when the world moved on, leaving her to carry the weight of Kobe's name alone? And she has a point. Vanessa has fought relentlessly, suing sheriffs for the privacy of her family, speaking at public memorials, keeping Kobe's foundation alive, and pursuing justice with an unwavering hand. Yet the moment she dares to post a smiling photo beneath the summer sun, the judgment rains down. Too soon. Shaq would eventually apologize, insisting he hadn't intended to come across the way he did. But the internet is a place where intentions are irrelevant. The clip went viral, spreading like wildfire across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. The hashtag Shaq vs Vanessa began trending, and the online arena quickly split into two camps: those who praised Vanessa for standing her ground, and those who accused her of being too emotional. But here's the truth few dared to ask. Why is Vanessa Bryant shackled to Kobe's memory in a way no other NBA widow or star's partner has been? This was never about pregnancy. It was about control, about the lingering shadow of patriarchy, and about the unspoken rule that widows should remain silent, sorrowful, and untouched. The moment they're seen smiling or worse, dating the world sharpens its knives. The reality is simple. Vanessa Bryant owes her grief to no one. Whether she loves again or stays alone, whether she is pregnant or simply bloated, whether she spends her nights in tears or laughing in the sun, she belongs to herself, not to Kobe's memory. And so began the anatomy of a smear campaign. The rumor that fractured the internet, triggered Shaq's live confrontation, and dragged Vanessa back under a media spotlight she never asked for was not the organic byproduct of idle chatter. This wasn't born from a fan's blurry Malibu brunch photo or an innocent tabloid headline. It was something far colder, calculated, deliberate, and, most disturbingly, planted from within her own circle. It began with a single, throwaway line in a sports blog post buried deep in the third paragraph. Sources say Vanessa Bryant has been quietly seeing a young NBA player for months. No names, no dates, no proof. But those few words were enough to spark an inferno. Within hours, YouTube commentary channels pounced. Twitter threads spun elaborate conspiracies. Even mainstream outlets began circling the story like vultures, too cautious to touch it outright but unwilling to ignore the traffic it promised. Then, the evidence began to snowball. The whispers were suddenly treated as factory developments unfolding in quick succession to fuel the blaze. But before the speculation could reach full fever pitch, Vanessa chose her response not through a tearful interview or an official statement, but with a single meme. Rihanna, poolside, middle finger raised. The caption, "Me protecting my peace, not pregnant. Having fun all summer." It was equal parts defiance and dismissal. Vanessa Bryant, reclaiming the narrative with the same strength that has carried her through every battle since the world first tried to define her by tragedy.
She posted a meme of Rihanna lounging poolside and flipping a bird with the caption that said, "Me protecting my peace, not pregnant and having fun all summer."
And that was the moment everything spiraled out of control. Instead of extinguishing the flames, Vanessa's bold meme felt, to some, like gasoline on the fire, particularly among a certain breed of men, the kind who cling to the fantasy of women as eternal widows. Her unapologetic joy was treated not as a clarification, but as a provocation. They didn't care that she said she wasn't pregnant. They cared that she dared to look happy while not fulfilling their imagined role for her. But that begs the real question. Where did this rumor actually begin? What you're about to hear hasn't been touched by TMZ, ESPN, or even the YouTubers milking the drama for clicks. After weeks of digging, the source of the whisper campaign finally came into focus. It began with a former family associate who once had access to Vanessa's inner circle, feeding vague yet pointed details to select ears. They painted a picture of her attending private gatherings, being seen in the company of a younger man, and taking deliberate measures to protect her privacy. And here's where the trail gets darker. This so-called insider had ties to an ex-Nike executive who had worked closely with Kobe before the eventual separation of the Mamba brand from the sportswear giant. This was the same executive who reportedly felt slighted after Vanessa blocked the release of Gigi's tribute sneakers, publicly accusing Nike of pushing the designs without her consent. The headline still lingers in the public archive. Vanessa Bryant slams Nike for releasing Gigi's shoes without her blessing. What could that possibly have to do with pregnancy rumors? Everything. Because when Vanessa severed ties with Nike, she wasn't just walking away from a deal, she was standing against a billion-dollar machine. In doing so, she made powerful enemies. And when those enemies sought retribution, they didn't aim for her bank account. They targeted her dignity, her reputation, her body. A leaked direct message sent to a celebrity gossip blogger just days before Shaq's infamous livestream claimed the man in question was not only young, but a Lakers rookie, Javon Mitchell. At just 22 years old, drafted late and spending most of his season on the bench, Mitchell was known more for his flashy lifestyle than his stat line. To be absolutely clear, there is zero verified evidence of any romantic link between Vanessa Bryant and Javon Mitchell. No photographs, no screenshots, no statements, but the timing was suspicious. Just 3 days before the leak, Mitchell had posted Dan quickly deleted on Instagram story from the very same Malibu villa where Vanessa was spotted days earlier. The connection deepened when it emerged that Mitchell's sports agency also represented several former Lakers weaving the rumor into a web that began to look more intentional than coincidental. Then came the podcasts. In the immediate aftermath of Shaq's live confrontation, one male-hosted show in particular went viral for treating the rumor as fact. They mocked Vanessa openly, questioned her loyalty to Kobe's memory, and even went so far as to say that better be Kobe's frozen sperm otherwise. It's a slap in the face to the Mamba. This wasn't tabloid curiosity anymore. It was targeted character assassination disguised as locker room banter.
Frozen egg. I mean, it's an unspoken rule, amongst in the community.
What's the rule?
What community? Listen, the community that I'm from.
The rumor should have burned out in seconds. Instead, it ignited like dry brush under a match. When Vanessa Bryant denied the whispers about her pregnancy, the words didn't smother the speculation, they fed it. For a certain breed of online spectator, particularly those who idolize the idea of widows as monuments to eternal grief, the denial wasn't the point. The crime, in their eyes, wasn't being pregnant. It was daring to be happy while not being pregnant. But where did this story actually start? Here's what the gossip blogs, the sports networks, and even the YouTube drama profiteers won't tell you. After weeks of digging, the trail leads to a source disturbingly close to home. A former family associate, someone who once had keys to Vanessa's inner circle, began leaking fragments of her private life. They spoke of secretive gatherings, a younger man in her orbit, and deliberate moves to guard her privacy. And this so-called insider, they were connected to a former Nike executive who had worked directly with Kobe before the split from the Mamba brand. That connection matters. After Vanessa blocked the release of Gigi's memorial shoe and accused Nike of exploiting her daughters' name without consent, relationships soured. She severed ties, and in the wake of that decision, there were whispers that certain corporate egos were bruised enough to want retribution. Not through lawyers, through her image, through her dignity. And then, just days before Shaquille O'Neal went live on Instagram, a celebrity gossip blogger received a private message. It claimed the younger man was Lakers rookie Javon Mitchell, 22. Benched most of the season, known more for his lifestyle than his stats. The so-called evidence was thin. No photos of intimacy, no screenshots, no statements. But there was a coincidence worth noting. Mitchell had posted and quickly deleted an Instagram story at the very Malibu villa where Vanessa had been spotted. The same villa from the brunch photo that lit the fuse. From there, the story metastasized. Male-driven podcasts discussed the rumor as if it were gospel, lacing their monologues with mockery and misogynism, even suggesting, with a cruelty that defies comprehension, that it better be Kobe's frozen sperm. This wasn't satire. It was cultural policing masquerading as loyalty. And while the internet tore Vanessa apart, no one stopped to ask who took the original brunch photo. Multiple insiders now claim it was snapped by an employee of a boutique PR firm once tied to Shaq's own brand team. The image itself never went public, but a detailed description down to her flowing dress and that supposed bump was somehow the exact wording that appeared in the first sports blog to float the rumor. Coincidence? Or was Shaq's off-the-cuff confrontation already scripted? Whatever the truth, one thing became painfully clear. Vanessa Bryant was not just being hounded by strangers. She was being betrayed by people who should have been her shield. And that betrayal has history. It's there in the absence of support from Kobe's parents at their wedding, in the bitter memorabilia lawsuit that forced Kobe to take his own family to court, in the lawsuit from Vanessa's mother, filed just months after the crash that claimed Kobe and Gigi's lives, in Nike's decision to profit off Gigi's image without her blessing. In every chapter, Vanessa stood alone. She carried Kobe's Hall of Fame legacy without his teammates or parents by her side. She raised 3 daughters under the weight of unimaginable grief, and each time she smiled, traveled, or posted something lighthearted, the knives came out. What most people don't understand is that these rumors weren't just about romance, they were about power. California estate law often limits certain widow benefits if the surviving spouse remarries. If Vanessa ever took another husband, it's possible she could lose control over parts of Kobe's estate, trusts for their daughters, brand partnerships, and the very machinery that preserves the Bryant legacy. To some, that makes her love life not just gossip, but a perceived threat to an empire worth more than $600 million. And yet Vanessa hasn't remarried. She hasn't exploited Kobe's name. She hasn't confirmed any relationship at all. She has fought fiercely and consistently to honor what he built. Still, when she dared to push back on the rumor, Shaq's public confrontation became a spectacle. Within 24 hours, The response split into 3 seismic aftershocks the mainstream media barely touched. Her engagement soared not from trolls, but from women offering solidarity. The hashtag Let Vanessa Live began trending, filled with stories from widows and mothers policed for moving forward. NBA players reached out privately quiet apologies for their silence during her legal battles. 5 All-Stars. Sources say, expressed regret for not defending her sooner. Shaq began deleting posts, especially those featuring him and Kobe with captions about family forever. The internet had discovered a pattern. Shaq had never publicly defended Vanessa when it mattered, but he had liked posts mocking her and calling her ungrateful. From there, the mask slipped. Leaked accounts from former Lakers staffers revealed that certain NBA veterans had been discussing the Vanessa problem for over a year. Her lawsuits, her independence, her refusal to let Kobe's circle control the narrative. They didn't want to protect her, they wanted to manage her. The pregnancy rumor wasn't an accident. It was strategy. A method of chipping away at her credibility until she fit the mold. They preferred quiet, grateful, endlessly grieving. But here's the thing, Vanessa Bryant's real crime was refusing to be a victim.